Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for week math. You can all the lessons on aplustudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to page 3 math, and then click on view all lessons. Here you can find a list of the chapters. We need to start with the chapter decimals. Please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions very well. When I'm on grade 3 math, the chapter we're on right now is decimals. Let's just start with the first lesson, that is convert between decimal and fractions. Write 0.1 as a fraction. So we can use the place value chart. If you write 0.1 in the place value chart, 0 is the fraction decimal part, that is at the ones position, and 1 is at the tenth position, that is the fraction. 0.1 is 1/10, right? 1/10 as a fraction, you can write 1 divided by 1 by 10. Basically, you have to, we have 0.1. You need to put 1 for the decimal point, and right after decimal point, you have only one digit, so you need to put 1 0. So then that would be 1 out of 10. Got it? Let's just start with the test questions. Write 3 whole 4 over 100 as a decimal. So you have to do the opposite way. 3 is the whole number, right? 3 as it is, right? Now we have two zeros right below the 4. That means the number must have two decimal places. So that is 3.04. Got it? Because the number has two decimal places. So the number must have two decimal places. That would be 3.0. So option number 1 is the correct option. That is 3.04. Option number 1 is the correct option. Right? 8 over 10 as a decimal number. So which is the correct option? That is 8 over 10, and you can write it as 0.8. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is 0.8. right? 19 over 100 as a decimal, so which is the correct option? That is 0.19. Option number one is the correct option because the and number right below the 100 is has two zeros, so that would be the number must have two decimal places. So option number one is the correct option. Right, 0.73 as a mixed number, so which is the correct option? That is 27,273, 2 whole 73 divided by 100 because 2 is the whole number. So write 2 as it is 73 and 1 for decimal point and 2 zeros for the two numbers after the decimal places. So that is 273 over 100. Option number two is the correct option. That is 2 whole 73 over 100. Write 8.5 as a mixed number. That is 8 whole 5 over 10. Option number two is the correct option. That is 8 whole 5 over 10. Option number two is the correct option. 3 whole 73 over 100, which is the correct option. That is 3.73. Option number three is the correct option. 2 over 10. 2 over 10 equals that is 0.2. Option number two is the correct option. Write 5 as a mixed number. That is 5 whole 8 over 10. Option number two is the correct option. Although you can complete the lesson by yourself every day, let me just move on to the next lesson. Word names for decimals. Write 7900 as a decimal number. So we have to make a place value chart. That is ones, then tenth and hundredth. That is 0.79. Let's start the questions. Write 5 and 8300. So let's just make a place value chart. That is ones, then we have 10, then we have hundred. 5 is the decimal, so that is 5 and 8300, so that is 5.83. That is 5.83. Option number 1 is the correct option. Write 1 and 80 and 8 tenth as a decimal number. 1 and 8 tenth. So that means 1 is a decimal number and 8 is at the 10th position. So 1.8. Option number 2 is the correct option. Very good. Right? 7,900 as a decimal. So 7,900 means 79 is at the 100th position. So that is 0.79. Option number 2 is the correct option. Write 3 and 8,500 as a decimal number. 3 and 8500. So that is very good. 3.85. Option number 2 is the correct option. Right? 4/10 as a decimal number. That is 0.4. Option number 2 is the correct option. Right? 6 and 3400 as a decimal number. That is 6.34. Option number 2 is the correct option. Right? 8400 as a decimal number. That is 0.84. Option number 2 is the correct option. Decimals are the numbers that have a decimal point. The decimal numbers has two portions, a whole number and a decimal. Like you can see 8.1.34. This is the decimal point, right? And that portion that is before the decimal point is the whole number. That is the whole number. Whole number meaning that is a complete number. And that is the part of a number, that is a fractional part, and that is not a complete number, that is 34th part of 100, so that is 1.34. Got it now? What are decimals? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself today. Let me just move on to the next lesson. The next one is add and subtract decimals. Okay, The next lesson is add and subtract decimals with coordinates. Randall bought a piece of fabric that was 7.3 meters long. Then she cut some 3.5 meters of it off to use in a string project. How much fabric is left? So the fabric we have is 7.3, right? We cut a piece of 3.5. We need to find how much we have left. That means we need to subtract them, right? So we cannot subtract 3 out of 5. We need to borrow 1. That makes 13. 13 take away 5 is 8. And 6 take away 3 is 3. So that is 3.8. Let's just start with the test questions. Lucy had 0.2 grams of paper. She used 0.1 grams of paper to make some scrambled eggs. How much paper does Lucy have left? 0.2 grams of paper and she used 0.1 grams of paper. Then how much Lucy have left? 2 minus 1 is 1. So that is 0.1. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is option number 1, 0.1 it is. A bee colony produced 0.9 pounds of honey. The bears ate 0.7 pounds of it. How much honey remains? So you need to subtract. The total honey is 0.9 and the bear ate 0.7. So 9 minus 7 is 2, that is 0.2. Option number 2 is the correct option. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is 0. Logan bought 0.3 pounds of peanuts and 0.2 pounds of raisins. How much pounds of snacks did he buy in all? So, which is the correct option? You need to add how much pounds of snacks did he use in all? So 0.2 plus 0.3. So, which is the correct option? That is 0.5. Option number 1 is the correct option. A carpenter bought a piece of wood that was 9.5 meters long. Then he saw 2.2 meters of the end. How long is the piece of wood now? So you have to do 9.5 minus 2.2. That is 7.3. That is 7.3. Option number 1 is the correct option. On a school trip, a class travels 3.1 kilometer by train and 3.5 kilometer by bus. How far did the class travel? So, which is the right option? You need to add that is 3.6.6. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself. It would be. Let me just move on to the next lesson. Next lesson is add three or more decimals. So let's just start with the test questions. 9.91, 5.04, and 3.16. So let's just add 6 and 4, 10 and 1, 11. Write 1. Write 1 and carry 1. 9, 10, 11. Write 1 and carry 1. 9 and 5, 14. 15, 16, 17 and 1, 18. So that is 18.11. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is 18.1. Zero 0.61 plus 0.43 plus 0.04. 4 and 3, 7 and 1, 8. 6 and 4, 10. Write 0 and carry 1. That is 1.08. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 1.08. Option number 1 is the correct option. Two point four plus 4.8 plus 5.5. Thirteen and 4, 17. Write 7 and carry 1. When 5 and 4, 9 and 10, 11, 13, 12. That is 12.7. Option number 1 is the correct option. Zero point 0.66 plus 0.51 plus 0.14. So which is the correct option? That is 1.31. Option number 2 is the correct option. Zero point 0.47 plus 0.42 and 0.71. That is 1.60. Option number 1 is the correct option. Three point seven plus 9.5 plus 2.2, which is the correct option. That is 15.4. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself with it today. Okay, so we were working on with math. The chapter we were working on is decimals. The lessons we have heard from the chapter are convert between decimals and fractions, right? Word names of decimals, then add and subtract decimal word problems, add 3 or more decimals. So please make sure before the next session we can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you right after the chat box. Answer all the questions and confusion if you have any. So you can fill in the chat box if you have it. Any questions? No questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you.